Close your eyes for just a second and imagine a patch of ocean that literally doesn't exist on any official map. Yet, this completely unmapped zone has become synonymous with the ultimate maritime nightmare. We're talking, of course, about the Bermuda Triangle mystery. It's known as the Devil's Triangle, this supposed triangle of death shrouded in absolute terrifying mystery. It's absolutely legendary for its lost planes, vanishing cargo ships, and the really eerie, deafening silence that follows every single tragedy. For decades, we've all been told it's the most deadly, dangerous, and deceptive place on Earth.
So, this brings us to a really massive, high-stakes question, one that's captivated amateur sleuths and rigorous scientists alike for a very long time. Is this place actually cursed, pulling innocent souls into the murky depths? Or have we just been looking at the wrong map and the wrong data this entire time? In this explainer, we're putting on our investigative journalist hats. We are going to track down the origins of the myth, sift through the wildest conspiracy theories, and ultimately uncover the true science of the Bermuda Triangle.
Let's start with Section 1, Unexplained and Spooky Evidence.
Right, so to understand how we get to the truth, we first have to acknowledge exactly why this geographic anomaly captured the world's imagination in the first place. You see, the fear here isn't just based on spooky campfire stories. It's actually anchored in genuine, heartbreaking historical tragedies going back over half a millennium. There's a deeply human element here. Real lives lost, real mysteries that left families totally without answers. And naturally, that created a vacuum that fear just eagerly filled. Way back in 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed through this region and literally recorded in his log that his compass was behaving completely erratically, shifting from northwest to northeast. He even reported seeing this strange candle-like light just bobbing on the horizon. Fast forward to the 20th century, and the mystery turns absolutely deadly. In 1918, the USS Cyclops vanishes. Then, in 1945, the infamous Flight 19 disappears into thin air. Centuries of these unexplained events slowly, methodically built an inescapable legend.
Just look at the sheer scale of the USS Cyclops tragedy. In March 1918, this colossal 542-foot Navy cargo ship, carrying over 300 men and 10,000 tons of manganese ore, left Barbados heading north. And it was just never seen again. No wreckage, no oil slick, nothing. But the most terrifying part, there was absolutely no SOS distress call sent, even though the ship was fully equipped to do so. The emotional weight of this was just staggering. To this day, it remains the largest loss of life in U.S. naval history not directly related to combat. Even President Woodrow Wilson was utterly baffled. He famously stated, "Only God and the sea know what happened to the great ship."
And hey, if the sea-swallowing massive ships wasn't enough, the curse apparently reached right up into the skies. December 1945, 5 Navy torpedo bombers, known as Flight 19, took off from Florida for a standard practice run. The lead pilot got severely lost, reporting that his compass was malfunctioning. The chilling final transmission we have from that flight reads, "It looks like we are entering white water. We are completely lost." They flew aimlessly until their fuel simply ran out. But wait, it gets worse. A 13-man rescue plane sent out to find them vanished that exact same day. After a massive search turned up absolutely zero evidence, the official Navy report hauntingly declared that it was as if they had flown to Mars.
Moving on to Section 2, Speculating the Unknown. So, with zero wreckage and absolutely no solid answers, a total frenzy of speculation took over. Coined by Vincent Gaddis in a 1964 article and then heavily popularized by Charles Berlitz's 1974 bestseller, which by the way sold a staggering 20 million copies, people desperately wanted an explanation, no matter how wild it sounded. Berlitz and others proposed that the mythical lost city of Atlantis was literally pulling ships and planes down into the depths with ancient crystal lasers. Other folks leaned hard into extraterrestrial abductions. That actually inspired Steven Spielberg to include the Flight 19 crew in his movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And of course, you had the theories about interdimensional portals hiding under the sea. I mean, wouldn't it be fascinating if this were actually true? It is so intoxicating to think that in our modern, fully mapped-out world, a magical anomaly could still exist right off the coast of Florida.
But as the media frenzy kept growing, so did the attempt to find plausible scientific explanations. People started asking, is the Bermuda Triangle real? And if so, is it just a massive magnetic anomaly? Which brings us to a concept called magnetic declination. See, the geographic North Pole is static, but magnetic north is constantly moving around. The variation between those 2 points is magnetic declination. Now, there's an imaginary line called the agonic line, where true north and magnetic north perfectly align, meaning zero declination. Historically, this line actually passed right through the Bermuda Triangle.
So theorists jumped on this, claiming it caused massive compass malfunctions that sent unwary sailors straight to their doom.
Then there's another incredibly popular modern theory: methane blowouts. Down in the deep ocean sediment, massive amounts of methane greenhouse gases are just trapped there. The theory suggests that this gas occasionally releases in these huge explosive bursts, basically giant ocean burps of death. If a ship happened to be sailing right over one of these blowouts, the sudden, massive decrease in water density would cause the vessel to entirely lose its buoyancy and plummet to the ocean floor like a rock. I mean, it sounds terrifying, right? And it sounds incredibly scientific, acting as the perfect plausible explanation for all these sudden vanishments.
All right, let's hit section 3, the hard data pivot.
Okay, it is time to put on our data journalist hats. We've talked about ancient ship diaries, magazine articles from the 60s, and best-selling paperbacks from the 70s, but when you strip away all that lore and actually look at the hard, undeniable aviation and marine casualty data from the last few decades, a completely different reality emerges, 90 times. According to an incredible, rigorous analysis of 2021 shipping data from Lloyd's List, which is a premier global shipping publication, it is actually 90 times safer to travel through the Bermuda Triangle than the global average. Just let that sink in for a second. For a place widely considered the most treacherous stretch of water on the entire planet, the hard numbers showed the exact opposite.
Let's break that down. In 2021, 1.8% of all vessels globally experienced some sort of casualty during their voyage. But when you look at the 8,634 boats that passed specifically through the Bermuda Triangle that exact same year, there were only 2 such casualties. 2! That is a microscopic 0.02%. The danger of disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle isn't just average. It is statistically drastically lower than the vast majority of the world's oceans.
Now you might be thinking, maybe 2021 was just a fluke year. Well, it wasn't. Taking a massive data set spanning from 1982 all the way to 2015, out of more than 150,000 marine casualty records across the globe, only 361 incidents occurred within the Bermuda Triangle. That's a mere 4%. But here is the absolute most shocking data point, right there in that final column. Out of all those thousands of records, spanning 3 whole decades, the number of incidents officially classified as mysterious disappearances in the Triangle was exactly 0. Not a single one. Okay, but what about the airplanes, right? Well, the National Transportation Safety Board Aviation Accident Database covers everything from 1962 to the present day. Despite all those intense legends of aircraft being literally snatched from the sky by aliens, the skies above this region are remarkably mundane. In fact, since 1965, there has been exactly 1 recorded commercial aviation incident over Bermuda, JetBlue Flight N913JB. And what was this catastrophic paranormal event? It was just severe turbulence that resulted in 1 minor injury. The data firmly, indisputably proves that this airspace is incredibly safe. Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, the human truth.
So, if there are no interdimensional portals and no aliens dragging ships to their doom, then what actually happened? What happened to the Columbus expedition? What happened to Flight 19? Well, we really have to contrast the intoxicating fiction with the harsh scientific realities of the region. The legend promises us alien abductions and ancient curses, but the reality? It's human error, brutal hurricane seasons, and incredibly turbulent ocean currents. The supposed curse is actually just a mixture of environmental severity and, unfortunately, basic human fallibility. Take the tragedy of Flight 19. If you look at the transcripts, they show the lead pilot simply got turned around. He thought he was over the Florida Keys and mistakenly flew his squadron deeper and deeper into the Atlantic until they just ran out of gas. It wasn't aliens. It was an experienced pilot making a fatal navigational error in a time long before GPS existed.
And when you add the sheer power of the environment to that human error, it gets dangerous fast. The Gulf Stream travels right along the western edge of the triangle. It is swift, it's violent, and it is wildly turbulent. In some areas, the Gulf Stream moves literally 300 times faster than the Amazon River. So if a boat experiences a mechanical issue or a small plane ditches in the water, this massive oceanic conveyor belt can throw sailors hundreds of miles off course. It can instantly swallow and completely erase all evidence of a completely ordinary shipwreck before rescue teams even know where to start looking.
And what about all those spooky historical tales that built the very foundation of this myth? Well, it turns out a lot of them were entirely fabricated fables. Take the legendary 1881 Ellen Austin ghost ship story. The tale goes that a crew supposedly found an abandoned bait ship, tried to salvage it, and repeatedly lost their men to an eerie vanishing act. It's an incredible, chilling story. But when you check the actual historical records in Lloyd's Register of Ships, the 1881 journey of the Ellen Austin is confirmed to have traveled from Liverpool to New York completely without incident. The ghost story was literally just a maritime tall tale that got way, way out of hand.
Ultimately, the Bermuda Triangle is undeniably one of the worst weather-affected regions on the planet. I mean, it sits right in the crosshairs of Hurricane Alley, so it tracks that, over centuries, terrible maritime tragedies would occur there. But the curse has been well and truly lifted by the data. The region is, statistically speaking, fabulously unremarkable. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought. The real mystery isn't why things disappear, but why we humans have such a deep psychological need to find magic in a world that is already dangerous enough. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.